I think it's okay to not be
Fully present.
fully present all the time.
That's a radical thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really do think so.
Hi, I'm Anjana Appanna with a brand new edition of Invisible Work, a podcast about moms, what they do, and everything they achieve without anyone realizing it, noticing it, but everyone benefiting. Yes, that's the invisible work that us moms do. And you know what? I'm here to be every mother's hype girl and tell you that you're doing an absolutely fabulous job. And to reinforce that idea today, I have with me a very special guest, our first guest actually, and someone who initially gave us the idea for the name of this podcast by simply putting a phrase to all of the magical things that we mothers do. That's how Invisible Work came up, the title of the podcast. And so let me introduce you to the person who gave us this idea. Her name is Aranyani Bhargav. You may have seen her or you may have read an article about her. She is a classical dancer, a very good one, a highly celebrated one. She's also a mom to a now 6-year-old almost, and she's one of the most brightly spoken people that I have ever met, and I'm so glad to have you here, Ar. Hi Aranyani, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm really happy to be here today, and thank you so much for this introduction. As you already said, I'm a Bharatanatyam dancer, and my son Miran is almost 6, and he goes to Earth School.
Right.
And yeah.
Wow. So I have to tell everyone that I've known Aranyani before she became a mum, and one of my favorite party people. But what was that like, making that transition from just having this almost carefree everyday life and being an artist to being, I guess, at least initially, a mother before everything else? Because sometimes, it tends to feel like art is the biggest part of your life, right? When you are an artist. And then when you have a child, that kind of takes over everything. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes. The initial years when you're literally with a newborn baby, then of course art took a bit of a backseat. But at the same time, I think that I was one of the fortunate ones to be able to kind of juggle both. And I was very determined, because even when I was pregnant, I was very determined to not fall into that trap of, oh, you can't work now because
Right.
you're pregnant, or you can't work now because you've had a baby. So I was pushing back against that quite a lot, and I think that forced me to work through my pregnancy and very soon after I gave birth. But in retrospect now, I realize that that rest period that is called maternity leave in the corporate world
Right.
is something that I never got, and I realize that only now. In retrospect, that actually maybe I should have taken that break then, because I was working throughout.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I think I came for your performance. You must have been nearly 8 months pregnant, your last performance before you
Yeah.
gave birth.
Yes.
Right? And it was an incredible show, and it was also incredible how you incorporated your pregnancy and your very large bump into, the
Yes.
idea of the piece that you were doing. Do you think it was harder or easier, because you've always been so physically active? Do you think your pregnancy and all of those physical changes your body went through was easier on someone like you, or did it feel like it limited you in a way that you couldn't quite understand?
Actually, through the pregnancy, I did not feel like there was anything that was limiting me apart from the actual physical bump.
Right.
And things like floor work in dance is something
Right.
that I had to do it sideways, or I had to do it with my back facing the floor, instead of, like, I couldn't do any
Yeah.
face down kind of movements. But apart from that, I didn't feel limited at all in terms of my movement. And my gynecologist was very encouraging, and she said, you're fine, it's a low risk pregnancy, so you can go ahead and do as much dancing as you want. So I was getting lifted up by other dancers, and I was going into splits on the floor, and
Wow.
dancing full to the same capacity as a non-pregnant person.
Wow.
But I think the reception of it was a little like I know that there were people that came to me and said that they were scared watching
Right.
me because they were scared if I might trip or I'll fall or.
Including your colleagues, I'm guessing?
My colleagues, like for example, Tony, who's also a doctor and was in my company, he didn't allow anyone else to lift me.
Oh.
Yeah. He was just like, only I will do it.
But that's very strategic to have a co-dancer who's also a doctor.
I know, it was
good
great.
call on that.
It was great. Yeah, we called him Dr. Vyuti.
Yeah, so
Vyuti
sweet.
is my dance company for
Right.
the listeners. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about after you had Miran? Because I'm sure that part I felt was the hardest for me physically, like the
Yes.
first 3 months, right?
Yeah, that was hard.
Do
for
you feel
sure.
like your body recovered quicker, or did you feel like, you know, it was the first out of body experience, so to say? That
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I feel like my body recovered quicker, but I do remember feeling like, oh my god, it's taking so long for my body to get back to normal.
Yeah.
And I remember crying the first time I danced full out.
Oh my God.
Because I had an emergency C-section
Right.
after 2 days of labor, and you know, as dancers, we work a lot on core strength. We work a lot on abdominal muscles and all of that. And I was really very acutely aware of the fact that somebody had just gone and sliced through my abdominal muscles that I've been working on for so long, and they had zero strength. So I had to build that strength back from scratch almost. It was almost as though I didn't have any core strength at all. So
Right.
that part was really, really hard, I think. Like it was, I did go through quite a bit of trauma.
Right.
Yeah, with regard to the C-section and just the recovery from that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I had a similar experience, and I remember the first day I got back home from the hospital, which by the way, I was dreading returning home, even though everyone said that would be the
Ah, yeah,
better
I
thing to
remember you
do.
telling.
But
Yeah.
because I was just so afraid of like, there's going to be no nurse on call to say, hey, come and figure this out, right? And I tried to sit on my mattress on the bed, and it hurt like crazy, just that movement. And I think that was the first breakdown I had. Like, so imagine for someone like me who barely had any core strength before I got pregnant, for you it must have been really hard to kind of reconcile with your body in a way,
Yes,
perhaps?
it was. For a while it was. And I think also because through the pregnancy, because I was so physically active, everyone in the hospital, everyone was very kind of, people all around me, they were pretty convinced that I would have like a whatever,
A vaginal delivery.
vaginal delivery. Yeah, and so I had gotten convinced that I would as well. And I was also, I think I paid way too much attention to that and focused too much on it. Like, if I had to say something to anybody who's pregnant now, I would say don't bother. Like, don't worry. Either way, you've brought a child into the world. But I was so concerned at that point.
Yeah.
Just like, I want to have a vaginal delivery. I don't want to have a C-section. I don't want to have, you get yourself into this kind of tizzy about it. And actually, there's no way for you to guarantee it. Because even if you have the healthiest pregnancy, something can go wrong, meconium or whatever that's called, or the cord being around the neck, like anything can happen. So there's no guarantee ever.
True.
And so why did we stress so much about it?
And I feel like you're right. We build it up so much in our head that, that is the right way to do it, in quotes. And then whichever way you do it, you've still gone through all of that, and you've come out with this child on the other end that, you're in charge of. But do you feel like that disappointment that you may have felt for not having had a vaginal delivery, did that in any way color your postpartum recovery? Did it affect you in that sense?
Yeah, of course. I went to therapy.
Oops.
I went to therapy because I feel like I felt like I wasn't really told with enough transparency what was happening in the last few days.
Last few days.
The last few days, because I was suddenly out of the blue, I was asked to come into the hospital, and then, and I could feel that I was maybe getting pushed into having an emergency C-section. I mean, having a C-section, which was going to be later called emergency C-section.
Right.
So that trauma, and I really feel like even I was in a really high class hospital, facility. But even there, I think that there is so much that needs to be done in terms of how pregnant women are treated and how they're spoken to. Like I was told when I was at the height of my labor, which was induced, which I also found very suspicious. It was induced 3 weeks before my due date. And the way I was at the height of my labor, when I was really in a lot of pain, and I was told by the attending doctor, "Oh, you're crying.
Wow.
Oh, almost like you're disappointed or surprised. Like it's the worst pain that somebody ever is going to feel in their whole life. Like, come on."
And I think sometimes doctors in these situations forget that for them it's their everyday routine sort of, I've just got to, check this person no matter what, where I put my hand or what position she's in. But for us, especially if it's your first pregnancy, it feels demeaning almost
and invasive,
and they don't talk you through it, right?
Exactly, that's the problem. I'm not saying don't examine me, just tell me what you're going to do so that I'm prepared. You can't just shove fingers into places without actually telling me beforehand that you're going to do it. And similarly, like after the birth, I remember us being in the recovery room and I couldn't feel anything from my legs down because of the epidural or whatever. And a nurse just came and just squeezed my boob. I was like, "Oh yeah, you're lactating. You're good to breastfeed." And I was like, "Hello."
Yeah, tell me. Seek my permission.
Yes, that's all it is. Just get my consent to touch my body.
Yeah, there's a long way that hospitals that cater to mothers, new mums, have to go in kind of bridging that gap and minimizing the trauma. I'm not saying that they can completely, make everything perfect and better and rosy, but just realize that at the end of the day, we are people. We're not just patient A, patient B. We are women who have to then go back and deal with it with an infant in tow. I mean, that's all it takes. Because I've been hearing this from so many moms that, they love their doctor right until they go into giving birth.
Yes.
And then, everything kind of just implodes and people don't care. Yeah. It's ridiculous. I remember when I was also taken in for I was actually pushing my child out when they realized that the heartbeat had dropped, and I was taken in for an emergency C-section as well. My husband, who was who was taken away outside the room, was told before I was. I was only informed when they came to put the catheter, and I'm literally like, why couldn't you just tell me like when you told my husband, Because I was in panic. I thought, that was the end of it. End of my journey as a mother. It was going to end before it started because the heartbeat had dropped and they were just in such a panic while they were wheeling me into the, operation theatre. And, if someone had just said, "Hey, so this is what we're going to do," instead of starting a procedure and then letting me know, I feel like I would have been less traumatized by it, right? Yeah. But
it's just a few words.
Yeah.
All you have to say is, "This is what I'm going to do."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heads up.
Yeah.
That's
heads
all
up.
it takes,
that's all
man.
it takes. Yeah.
But I mean, it's crazy. But do you think that after, you went for therapy and you kind of spoke about your feelings and how that may have impacted you, did things get better, do you think?
Yes, absolutely. I think therapy, there was something that my therapist said that will never leave me. She said, I know that you're grieving the fact that you didn't have a vaginal birth. I know you're grieving the fact that you may have been kind of misled by your doctors and by everyone around you about how this birth experience was going to be. I thought it would be an empowering experience, and it was exactly the opposite. And she said, and I also was pushing my baby out when they called when they made this decision to have an emergency C-section.
Okay.
And in fact, in the operation theatre, I remember being jostled up and down and I was later told that it was because the baby was on its way out.
Oh my God.
So, out vaginally, and then they had to push him back up to take him out of my abdominal cavity. So
okay, this is
crazy.
I'm not a doctor, but that sounds very weird.
Yeah, so, and I don't know exactly what the reasoning for that is, but I think they'd started the procedure, or I don't know what it was, or maybe he got stuck, I don't know.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, they pushed him back up because I asked the gynecologist afterwards. I was like, what was that? Why was I being jostled about on the table? I couldn't feel any pain, but I could feel my body shaking.
Right.
And then my therapist told me, she was like, you know what? You were grieving the fact that you didn't have a vaginal birth, but you've had both.
Yeah.
She was like, you had the experience of both.
Yeah.
You've had a C-section, you had the experience of labor, you had the experience of the pushing, so it was just like, just therapy just changed my perspective on it. Yeah. Then I started to like my scar and
Did you make an instant connection with Miran? Yes. I know you'd had the name kind of in your head before you'd had Miran, but did you feel an instant connection?
Yes.
What was that like?
I think I absolutely did. That way, I think I've been told by too many people, and I think I'm quite aware myself also that I've been maternal for quite a long time. So
absolutely,
yeah. So I think that wasn't a challenge at all. The connection was instant for sure.
Right.
The connection between my husband and him was also instant, and that was a bit more of a surprise for me.
Right.
Because I know that with dads, it's suddenly like they don't experience the pregnancy, they don't experience the symptoms or the joys or
it's
the
not physical.
Yeah, they don't feel the kick coming from inside them and all that. So I've read a lot about and heard a lot about how it takes time for dads sometimes to bond. Because they've gone from like being totally not associated with having a child to a baby in front of them. Whereas we've been kind of, our bodies are preparing us for it.
How do you feel like your colleagues on the dance company reacted? Was Miran around when you were doing all of these performances?
Yeah, Miran was very much around when we were doing rehearsals and things. Yeah, he was around. But then again, like I said, the pandemic hit and we were pretty much stuck for almost 1.5-2 years of no rehearsals. Because Vyuti's work is not the kind of work that you can do remotely or online.
True.
You have to.
It may not have the same feels. Right?
Yeah, it's not possible because the work is ensemble work and the bodies are touching. Each other, so it wouldn't work if the dancers are in different
locations.
So we had to take a break from that, but I used that time to choreograph The Endless Mind. But Miran was always around, hanging around. He would watch, while he was eating his lunch, he'd be watching me work out stuff, rehearsals, and write my notes. And he used to pull out the yoga mat and say that I'm going to do my exercise.
So sweet.
Yeah. So he danced. He used to exercise. He copied some of the moves of The Endless Mind.
So sweet. So I know your husband's also an artist. He's a musician.
Yes.
And you are a dancer. How do you think that influence in your house, your son Miran seeing this all the time, being exposed to this all the time, has kind of influenced him? Like, what do you think? I mean, I'm sure it's hard to say in terms of...
Yeah, it's hard to say in terms of how it will influence him in the future. But like I said, he was dancing a lot all through. From the time that he could walk, he was dancing. He was doing yoga with me.
Right.
And as he's grown older, he wants to be a musician like his dada.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't want to dance. I want to be a musician. So I was like, you can do both.
Yeah.
And so he's still kind of working out what he wants to do, and he probably is going to end up doing neither.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean,
huge possibility.
Yeah, my husband and I constantly joked about this, that where we think he's going to be artistic because we brought him up in an artistic way, and he might end up becoming a chartered accountant.
Yeah.
Like, we never know.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've kept it. At the moment, he wants to be a paleontologist.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
I love it when kids have all these
big
ideas.
Big ideas, big ambitions. Yeah. Then it turned into paleontologist.
Yeah,
he's going to excavate the fossils and then he'll paint
it. Oops. But yeah, I'm here for it. Yeah. I'm here for the exhibitions and the digging.
Great. Yeah, of course.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
Though, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it defeats the purpose of the paleontology aspect of it, to paint over the fossils.
Or it just makes fossils more accessible to, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm going with that. I'm going to sell it hard. Okay, but how do you think, though, that being a parent influenced your art? Because let's say now, into parenting, having been a mother for a year, you've also then, come face to face with this lockdown where you're at home while you're also trying to rehearse and choreograph, and you're taking care of this child. I'm not even going to ask you. I'm sure COVID was really hard for you, as it was for everyone with a young child. But how did that whole experience influence your art going forward?
Parenthood or COVID?
Parenthood.
I think that, it definitely had an impact on me. It continues to have an impact on me even now, I would say. But of course, it started before, like I said, or rather you said, with the production questioning frontality, changing body. So the motherhood and my art getting intertwined was something that was happening even before Miran was born.
Right.
But after he was born, I think one of the things, I also started this forum, this academic online forum because of the pandemic, on the history of dance forms and the socio-political aspects of dance histories and all of that. And so I think there, the topics that we chose and the way that we curated the events, I think that was something that was definitely revolving around Miran a lot.
Right.
But I'm not sure if that's what you're asking.
No, you know what I mean? Like, did it change? Like, let's say you were going down a path of one particular topic that you wanted to explore as a dancer. Did that suddenly change because you had this young child that you were raising, or just, did it open up some other
I wasn't aware
process
of this,
Okay.
but an audience member who watched The Endless Mind,
Right.
they told me that once I was having a chat with them on an Instagram live, and I said that I created The Endless Mind during the pandemic with a 1.5-year-old running around in the house, and she said, I can totally see that in your work.
Oh, wow.
Now it makes so much sense. You created The Endless Mind in isolation during the pandemic with a child. And she was like, it comes through in the work.
Right.
But obviously she hadn't made that connection because I hadn't told her this.
Yeah.
But I had never made that connection. And I still don't think that I'll be able to articulate how being a parent to Miran resulted in The Endless Mind being what it is.
Right.
But someone said that it did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And
today, I would say, I started this humanitarian movement called Indian Dancers for Gaza's Children.
Right.
And I have to say that one of the major driving forces to start that was when Miran grows up, he's going to read about the genocide in Gaza, and he's going to read about it in history books. There's going to be memorials, I'm sure, of this. There's going to be definitely, it's the world's most documented conflict.
Yeah.
And so he's going to ask me about it when he grows up, and I didn't want to say I didn't do anything when he asks me, Mama, when there were children dying in Gaza, what did you do?
Yeah.
So in that sense, and it became a global movement of dancers.
Right.
And we danced for Gaza. We danced to raise money for children, and it all kind of started because I was just like, I don't want to tell my son that I didn't do anything.
You almost feel accountable for the actions of the world.
Yeah,
so to
and
say,
also to him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want him to grow up thinking that I just sat there and watched
Yeah.
as the genocide unfolded.
Yeah.
And it catapulted into like 19 fundraisers.
Wow.
Yeah, and almost all related to dance.
Wow.
Mobilized and galvanized dancers across the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's really inspiring.
Definitely something that brought my parenthood and art together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me talk to you briefly about, how does it feel to be, managing this enterprise? You are, at the end of the day, a businesswoman as well, right? Because you are also finding avenues to make your art profitable for yourself.
Yes.
Right? So as a businesswoman and a mother, how do you manage that? Because I feel like those are two words that shouldn't be in the same sentence, because it just feels like there's so much going on. But, with all of the work that you have to do to run the business and make sure that the company is flourishing, you also have to make sure your child is nourished and flourishing, right?
Yes.
So What are the challenges of something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenge, particularly because I think the difference between someone who has to go to an office and has to answer to answer to a higher authority or a boss or something is that they don't have a choice. They have to go into work, and they have to clock in the hours, and they have to put in the work, and they have to meet the deadlines. But when you're running your own enterprise, you don't have that pressure because you're your own boss. So it's great in some ways, but it can also be a negative thing because you have to drive yourself, you have to push yourself to
you have to really be motivated and make yourself, you have to motivate yourself. I think that's always a big challenge, right?
It's a huge challenge, especially because you're so exhausted the first 2-3 years, I think. I still feel exhausted actually, but but I think that the first 2-3 years are very, very exhausting as a mother.
Physically
exhausting and mentally, I would say. Because also, I mean, and it's not, I'm not saying exhausting in a negative way necessarily. Because you're exhausted also because you're learning something new about yourself, you're learning something new about your child every day, and it's just you're constantly playing catch up. You're also trying to catch up on sleep, you're also trying to catch up on work, you're also trying to catch up on all the stuff that you missed out when you were pregnant. I think it was definitely hard, but I think that the way, and I was juggling multiple projects at the time because I was running this academic platform called Recognizing Dance. I was also trying to run Vyuti. I was also looking after Miran. There was also pandemic, and I think the only way that I could possibly do it was to really compartmentalize. Just say that, okay, from this time to this time I have to do this no matter what. From this time to this time I have to do this. But there were also times when I would take advantage of times when Miran was napping in the afternoon.
Where you have to catch up on everything else, right? Like whether it's your manicure, your cooking, your, just going to pee even sometimes.
Exactly. And also trying to catch a nap. So I mean, that's what people say, right? When you sleep when your baby sleeps. But that's not what you want to do. It never happens because there's just so much else that you need to be doing. So I used to take advantage of that, and I used to take a lot of advantage of we kept quite a strict night routine. Like going to sleep was always has to be at a particular time, and no matter how long it took, but we would make sure that he was asleep so that my partner and I could get some time together and that we could get some work done.
And somehow, following a really strict night schedule, like in general, a very strict schedule for everything through the day, always, other people would say, oh, you're a little strict about it. But it kind of gave me so much freedom within that timetable.
Absolutely.
Right? And I feel that's not applauded enough, that we work so hard to just keep things going on the clock.
Absolutely.
And I personally, I think it's great for children as well, right?
I mean, of course, I think there's degrees. And I think that I wouldn't say that I would want to completely regiment Miran's schedule, but of course there is a certain time for bath. There's bath time, there's dinner time. Those are not movable. But otherwise
and time for free play and everything.
Absolutely.
I take I've got a lot of flack for how I'm like, oh, gotta leave because I'm gonna get my kid to sleep by this time, and then everyone's like, he seems fine, but then as soon as you get home, he's not fine. Right?
Exactly. And they crave routine as well, I think. So they enjoy it.
I feel most children thrive in routine because it gives them they may not know when to tell their body to start to shut down, but having that routine, it gives them the green signal to it's okay for you to start winding down. And I think adults should also have very strict bedtimes, though. I'm one of those people.
I know.
I'm beginning to believe that.
I think it would help because we tend to stay awake for way longer than we need to.
I mean, I could be the queen of doom scrolling because I'm like, oh my god, my child finally went to sleep, and I can oh my god, I really need to. That's something I'm working on. But as a creative person, I feel like sometimes you need that stillness in your day, or a stillness of mind to basically allow your creative juices to. For me, when I'm writing, sometimes I need that moment of silence, or a few moments of silence at least, to be able to put those thoughts down. How does it work for you? Like, are you able to find that stillness to, actually do flesh out the process that you're working on in your head? Is that something that's challenging?
Yeah, it is challenging, but less so now.
Right.
I'm just going back to the creation of The Endless Mind. I remember because of the pandemic, because he was at that age where he wasn't yet in school, I was lucky to live in a house that had a terrace.
Right.
So I used to go up to the terrace and get my quiet time.
Yeah.
And literally, my partner and I used to take turns.
Yeah.
Where it's and then, so I would get my 2 hours where I would do my workout and I would work on the choreography for The Endless Mind or do whatever.
Right.
And then he would get his 2 hours to
Yeah.
lock himself into a room with his music.
Right.
And that's how we did it.
Navigated that.
Yeah, and we also actually, even till date, we don't have a cook. So
Right.
now Miran helps me.
Oh,
in the
nice.
kitchen. Yes, he helps to peel the carrots and peel the potatoes, and now he's even chopping.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's not very symmetrical chopping, but
That'll
who cares?
come with That's
Yeah,
cool.
so I learned that if I need to be away and there's no one to watch him, he just has to get involved in what I'm doing. Yeah.
That's the only way. True.
Yeah.
What do you feel has been the biggest trade-off between running your enterprise, running Vyuti, and being a mother? What have you had to give in for the other, or give up for the other?
That's a tough one. I know that you'd asked me this earlier, and I was really thinking, I don't know. I think in the between juggling being a caregiver and also running Vyuti, I think what I ended up neglecting was my family. Yeah, so I think that my family suffered a little bit because of that, because my sister was complaining that after you had Miran, you didn't have any time for me anymore. Yeah, so I think that was one thing that came to my mind.
Right.
And the other was I felt like I did feel guilty when I was working at some points of time, because my timings for my work they're not the usual timings.
Right.
And so as a teacher of dance, somebody who was taking classes, the dance classes would always happen, and I was taking classes for kids.
Right.
So the dance classes would always happen at the time when the parks would open in the evening. And there were so many times when Miran would say, "Mama, I want to go to the park," and I'd just be like, "I'm so sorry, baby, but I have class."
Right.
And that, I felt like it guilt tripped me to the point where I stopped teaching classes.
Oh my God,
Yeah, I stopped teaching classes. Like, now I want to teach classes to adults and to professional dancers.
Yeah.
And I want those classes to take place when my son is in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Makes
do
sense,
not
yeah.
want to be in that. I don't want to be in that situation again where I'm compromising or missing out on something with Miran because I'm teaching class or something like that.
And I feel like that's the kind of emotion that so many moms go through when it comes to work, right? Like, you want to do the work, you want to go out, you want to do whatever you do, but you also feel like, you're missing out on something, or worse still, that because you're tied up, your child is going to miss out on this core memory that could be formed.
Yes, exactly. The guilt of that as well, yeah.
And then guilt drives you to believe that everything they're missing out could have been a core memory that would have, made them so much happier, and
yeah. Thankfully, we've learned now that our kids are a little older.
Have we? I'm still battling that, but
I have become better, I have to say. Like,
how?
Now,
tell me how.
I have now. I've empirical evidence also. I've seen that because, I have sacrificed things. Like, said, okay, no, I'm not going to go out to watch this dance performance because the children are not allowed there, and so I'm going to stay home. In a sense, I have sacrificed a professional engagement because it's useful for me to be visible at a dance, event. To be at home, but he's not bothered.
Yeah,
Miran does not care that I'm at home, and I've often found myself thinking, damn, I could have gone, because he's not bothered that I'm not there.
Right.
So, or that he's not bothered that I am there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I've become a little bit more like, he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I need to go do this. This is for me.
Correct.
I have to do this for me.
For me, yeah.
And I think that is something that we really need to advocate as mothers, talking today to each other, and as we're doing this whole thing for other mothers.
Yeah.
We really need to advocate for that whole idea of self-care.
Yeah.
Because we just don't do it.
Because I feel like that, even now when I go out, my child is 6. When I go out, I kind of only schedule things to go out post 8:15 when he's in bed, you know. So even if I want to meet someone, I don't do it unless I know that everything that he needs to happen for him has happened. And even though my partner is very involved and, very responsible as a person, I feel like, no, it is something I've got to do, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of drummed into our heads from, that's what you think motherhood is.
Yeah.
That it's everyone else, especially a child, over your own needs. And I think that's something that needs to change, because I do believe that you can be a better parent by just allowing yourself some moments where you're not that only.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it
helps you become a better parent.
Yeah.
To get that time away.
It gives you downtime. It gives you the opportunity to explore other ideas and see other things, expose yourself to more things, which in turn can only benefit your child, right? Like
and I think it also gives an opportunity for the other caregivers to
pitch in.
Because
to wholeheartedly pitch in.
We don't let them.
Yeah.
Very often I found that we don't let them.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I left Miran, because I had to go to Bombay, because the premiere of The Endless Mind was happening in Bombay, and Miran still had school going on, and they couldn't take off for that many days, and I was supposed to be gone for a week. They came and joined me a few days later.
Right.
And I didn't give enough credit to, I didn't think that my partner would be able to do it, but he could.
And they thrive.
It was easy. It was fine. Same thing with my parents or my partner's parents. There was initial reluctance about whether they'd be able to handle things in my absence, but they totally can. So now I'm on another trip where I'm just like, get my parents to come here as often as they can, get my in-laws also to come and watch him, so that my partner and I can go out,
do stuff like
even if it's just here, just 5 minutes away, but at least get out of the house and spend some time together.
I realized that. So at the end of when my son turned 1 year old, I was gifted this trip by my husband and father, which I thought was just the sweetest thing in the world. They got together and sent me away for I think 6 or 7 days, and I was traveling by myself, and I realized that the first 2 days, like even while I was going to the airport, getting on the flight, till I got to the flight and finished my check-in and everything, I was I was excited, and then this whole thing, oh my god, guilt kicked in. I spent the first day feeling really terrible about this decision that I've made to leave my 1 year old for a holiday, not even work, for a holiday. And oh my god, I've got to be the worst parent in the world. I'm never leaving, and how is he going to manage? Poor thing, my husband's going to be so ill-equipped to do all of this. And then by the end of the 6 days, I realized they don't even care. They don't even need me. They were not video calling me, nothing. And then I was filled with, low-key rage. Like, they don't even care that I've left them. But it was the best thing I did for myself. But it was also those 6 days, the emotions of, oh my God, how could I do this? To, oh, I should really do this more often, because they don't really need me as much as I think they do.
Yes. It's very liberating to know that.
It really is, because it sets you free from just holding on to the smaller things, which I think is what we tend to do. And older people are always saying, you all act so hyped about being mothers, we did it without thinking. But I think the thing that really makes us, this generation of moms, different is that we are willing to think about our actions not just for everyone else and because that's the only way to do it, but also because we have now begun to understand, as we see the previous generation, that the happier you're able to make yourself, your child also thrives.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that should be the anthem for mums.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not happy, your kid is not going to be happy.
Yeah.
If you're not rested because when you're not rested and when you're overworked and you're overstressed and you're overstimulated and all of that, you end up being less patient. You end up being less pleasant to be around.
Yeah.
So you're not, and the person that you're around is your child.
Yeah.
So you're doing all this for your kid, but you end up being irritable with him. What's
because
the point?
I've seen some children who are just on the edge when their parents are around, and it's because they realize that they may not be able to articulate it, but they realize that their parents are so tired that they might bear the brunt of it. Tell me, how did I've always thought of you as an ambitious person with a lot of gumption. How did having a child kind of alter your idea of success itself?
So that one was also a tough one for me to think of.
Okay.
Because I was just like, I don't think that becoming a parent has changed my idea of success so much. Because success, I think as artists, we have these romantic ideas of like, money doesn't matter and we're doing it for the art and
I will live on fresh air.
Yes, and my art will. And I still, I used to think like that then before I was a parent, and I continue to think like that now. But having said that, it is, of course, we say that, but of course we do work our asses off. Can I say that?
Yeah, go for it.
work our asses off. Yeah, we work our asses off to try and still make money somehow, because we do live in a capitalist world. But I think that what I wanted to say was that the ambition, the way I think about money has changed a little bit because I'm a parent. Because earlier it was just whatever I just was making enough money to just kind of be comfortable myself. But now I'm thinking about his future and securing it and all of that. So I do choose work that I take on more carefully. I do push a little bit more, in terms of like what my fee is for a performance or what I should be charging. I've a terrible track record of undercharging.
Okay.
Where art managers have come to me and said, you only charge them this much? Are you out of your mind? And then I've been like, oh God, what did I do? And so, but all that is plays in my mind more now. Like earlier I was just like, okay, fine, I undercharged, it's okay. It was enough for me. But now I would think about it differently. Now I'd be like, no, I do not want to undercharge. Because all that money that I could have made
can go into securing my child's future.
Securing my child's future, absolutely.
That's interesting.
But at the same time, I haven't. So why I say that my idea of success hasn't changed that much is because I could have gone down that commercial path of performing. There's so much money in the commercial side of performing arts, but I haven't gone there. It just doesn't feel like it's something that I would be able to do.
And any tips for staying present in this age of crazy digital toxification and raising a child? Because some days it feels like you're doing the same thing, just doing it on a different day, right? But how do you stay present? Because you probably also have like so many creative thoughts. Any tips for staying in the moment with your child?
Oh, staying in the moment with your child. Keep your phone away. For sure. Because I really feel like our generation and the I don't know what they're called. Who are the 20-year-olds? Are they the millennials? No,
we are the millennials.
We're the millennials,
Gen X?
Gen Z, Gen
next
X, all
gen.
of them. The next gen, yes. We are all slaves to our smartphones. Completely. And our kids are going to be even worse. But I feel like the one way in which you can stay present with your child is not to even take the phone into the room. It's okay if you miss one phone call. It's okay if you miss one Facebook notification or Instagram, whatever. Nothing's going to happen. The world's not going to fall apart. But and I've noticed that like my son actually says it out loud,
Right.
where he has said things like no phones allowed.
Oh, wow.
He recognizes the fact that the phone
you-
is a distraction
Yeah.
for mama and dada.
Yeah.
And that's terrible.
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
it's terrible that a 5-year-old is able to even gauge
Yeah.
that. That just shows how much of slaves we have become
Yeah.
to this. So that would be my one tip. But I would also say that I think it's okay to not be
Fully present.
fully present all the time.
That's a radical thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really do think so, because sometimes I have found that sometimes my son just wants me to be there.
Physically present,
Yeah, just
but not
physically present.
engaging him
Not
necessarily.
engaging necessarily. It's a new change.
Yeah.
I think because he's growing older.
Yeah.
This is not something that used to happen earlier. So I would say to parents of children who are more than 5 years old,
Yeah.
they can possibly expect this.
Yeah.
That you
I'm
can
having
just.
the inverse problem.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he now wants me to engage and talk a lot more than ever before. Otherwise, I could just sit in the room in the corner reading my book. But now he's like, no, you talk to me. So, you know.
Yeah. No,
But
I mean,
that's
I'm not
interesting,
saying that
right?
once you become 5, the kids are completely
No,
independent.
but I love how they can be the same age and everything, and then they'll
Still
just
be
do
very
totally different things.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I love it.
yeah, it's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, what I'm saying is that it's like, of course, it's important to engage with your kids, and it's important to do. That's why I said the whole phone thing.
Yeah.
That when you are there and when you do intend to be present, then you have to find a way to be
Yeah.
100% present, because they notice
Yeah.
when you're kind of not there.
Yeah.
They notice when you're distracted.
Yeah.
They notice if you're not mentally there
Yeah.
also. So, and they notice all these things and they get really frustrated by it.
Yeah.
So
and also more so because they can't articulate that exact thing that
you're
they're
not
feeling.
listening to me.
Yeah,
You're not playing with me is all that they can
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
But what they're actually feeling is probably how we would feel if, we were out for dinner together and we were not talking to each other.
Yeah.
And, we were on our phones or
Yeah.
we were looking around.
Yeah,
or,
which is what you see so often when you go out for dinner these days. I've always been a bit of an eavesdropper. Oh my god, I should probably not say that. But now I feel like a little camera, right? Because all I'm doing is now staring at other people, not talking to each other and staring at their phones.
Yeah. Actually, my husband and I had a rule.
No phones.
That when we went out, we would not look at our phones.
Yeah.
Because I used to get very insulted. Like if I mean, sometimes I know he had to take a phone call
Yeah.
because it might have been from his work or
Yeah.
whatever. But I used to just be like, no, this is no point in
Yeah,
coming
no
out
point,
if
yeah.
we're going to be on the phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just happening all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think coming back to the radical thought, I think it is okay to not be present, like 100% present sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to pick your moments. If you do have those times when you're just physically present with your child
Yeah.
and doing your own thing, and he's doing his own thing
Yeah.
or she's doing her own thing, you also have to have an equal amount of time that you dedicate where you are fully present.
Fully present. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to ask you very quickly, just off the top of your head. We do this section on Invisible Moms where we ask everyone we talk to for a recommendation. So is there anything you want to recommend, something you're currently watching, something you just watched, something you read a while ago? It could be a podcast, a movie, a series, a book.
I
a
have lots of
song.
recommendations
Oh,
actually.
yay.
Yes. So,
Well, let me take my notepad out.
for all of the above.
Okay.
So you said something to watch.
Yeah.
I watched The Plot Against America. It's
All right.
great.
Okay.
I think it's on Geo Cinema.
All right.
That's really great.
Okay.
Books to read, I wouldn't recommend anything right now because I'm only reading non-fiction, and I think, but I would say that mums should read more fiction. I'm only reading non-fiction right now because I'm involved in this whole activist
Yeah,
thing. So I'm reading a book on the history of Palestine and the conflict
Right.
over there. Music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Electronic dance music is my thing right now. I really highly recommend that to anybody who's stressed out.
Okay.
Highly recommend, because it immediately just sends you. This is something that I actually do as part of me time. When Miran goes to sleep, I put on my earphones and I sometimes just listen to dance music and I dance in my living room before I go to bed.
Now that's a recommendation I'll get on board with. Any artists that you spoke about?
The artists that I would
yeah,
recommend.
yeah.
Yes, hundreds. But I'll mention three of my favorites at the moment. There's Huva Network.
All right.
There is Solar Fields.
Okay.
There's Carbon-Based Life Forms.
Okay.
And within India, there's this solo act called Weird Sounding Dude.
All right. Thank you, R, for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I wish you luck with everything you're doing, and I look forward to seeing so much more from your end. All the best.
Thank you, and I wish you the same.
Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of Invisible Work. You can show us your support by hitting the follow button here on Spotify. That'll ensure that you get notification of all future episodes. If you want to know more about Aranyani Bhargav's work, you can check out her Instagram handle. I will add the link in the show notes below. Also in the show notes is a link to our website, invisiblework.mom. That's right, you can get in on the website and find out about future episodes, guests and deals. You can also send me your feedback at anjana@invisiblework.mom. Thank you for listening in, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Invisible Work.